a fund, find a way to make you money. There's no reason why we should, exactly what you said, that extra $5. If you work with someone else, of course I need to, but if you work with someone else, you are limited to whatever your employer is willing to pay you or whatever that company is able to pay you. But as an entrepreneur, you dictate what your income is. It's based upon how much you grind, how much you hustle, how you are, what you do, what you get. And so changing that mentality about how you earn, and you have to work after you get off. Right. You know, because you're an entrepreneur, you only work 8 to 5 and you go home and chill. No, not true. I have my favorite side, my favorite friend. But you have to work constantly. And of course, smarter, not harder. But at the beginning, I worked hard. I just worked hard. That's all I did. Until I got to a space that I still work hard. But I'm more strategic now in the way that I work and how I dedicate my time. But everybody needs to have a hustle, so that they can find that as their means to get to the next level, no matter what.
And they're giving the hustles away now. You got Uber, Lyft, all these different things that you can, they got apps. Different apps to tell you how to do our job. So.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you mentioned, I was just about to touch on it, the odd jobs, and just don't, people want to start businesses, right, and want to start up here. And I say start down here, like, and don't say, oh, I didn't get this, I didn't have it. No, just work with what you have and then build from there. Like I started my maintenance and construction and cleaning business with just dollar store materials. I think I just had $5 in my name. And I split that $500 to $100. And that's how I got involved in this. It was from cleaning, you know, and so people didn't want to clean toilets. I was like, I can clean some toilets, you know, and get paid, you know. So it's one of those things too where it's okay to start at the bottom. Sometimes that's the best way. You can learn everything.
I like that. So we were talking about doing our jobs. I wanted Tori. I was saying she go ahead and talk about what we could talk about. I told her, girl, can you start selling these dinners? I know you was a candidate. You still around council when we say, but I'm gonna need you to start selling these dinners. Like, let's make this money, you know, so using those talents. Tori, go ahead, tell them when you gonna start selling the dinners.
As soon as I can stand up again without this back pain. So we understand, like, you gotta use what you got to get what you need, right? And it sounds like you guys were talking about two kind of different levels of investment, but they both are needed, right? So you have that personal investment, but then you also have the communal investment. And so, yes, you should be a homeowner. You should definitely go and purchase your own home, right? Even if it's a small property, that's how you build personal wealth. But I think that Black people have learned how to go hard in the paint in certain environments that we could take and we could maximize, and we could translate those same skills to what we're trying to do in the community. And one of the greatest examples I think of is one of my deacon friends who just passed away. For 40 years, he served the church. He used to come get the mail at the church. He would come take out the trash at the church. He cleaned up the church. That level of commitment that many of us and our elders, our uncles and pop-pops have had for Black church, we want to take those same skills and translate them into some communal building, right? And so there was an article. I'll give you an example of what I mean. There was an article in the Sun paper for probably a year or so ago, and it talked about 17,000 vacant properties in Baltimore City. And it said the numbers have stayed consistent for decades. 17,000 vacant properties. You can count 17,000 vacant properties just on Park Heights. It's no way that is an accurate number. And so what has to happen is, while we are building self, and we are now focusing on building collectively in our community, we have a city that is deficient. We have to then hold the city accountable for the things that they're supposed to be doing that open up these opportunities for us to build as a community. If taxation and assessment, if housing, if planning does not have a way of adequately recording the receivership of these homes or adequately recording who owns these properties, we're never going to be able to buy a block. You know why? Because the block doesn't show that the entire block is available for purchase. Another thing, when you start talking about the vacant to values programs, and Kiana knows that before I start cooking dinners, I'm cooking politicians in this season because I'm a little bitter. But anyway, I digress. That's a whole nother show. But there are people in places that don't have the competencies to get the work done. So the vacant to value program was a great opportunity, a great program, but who actually works for the program? We don't know who works there. You don't know who actually manages the program. You put in an application, you don't hear anything back. And so what we're looking to see is talent management expansion in the city. Let them hire some of these young people who can't find a job. Let them hire some of these people who are middle age, who may be career changing, who may have lost a job because of COVID. Let's get these jobs filled so that when we all go in and say, look, we buy block A, block B, block C, we're not caught up in all the red tape, the white tape, and the question marks because we don't even know who owns what properties. And I think that is a greater issue that I know that just from some of the conversations that we've been privy of sitting in, a lot of times we have the right ideas, we have the money, we've cleaned up our credit, we got the bosses at the table, and the city is deficient. So I want to kind of toss this question out. Have you guys had any experiences, running into brick walls with the city or not having your answers, your questions answered with the city? And if so, how have you maneuvered through that?
Let me say this. First of all, Tori, I thought you ran a great race. I definitely saw you in the streets all the time. Saw you giving back to the community. Shout out to iCare Resource Center as well, doing great work. Saw you over there giving out, I believe, they do something every Friday for the community. So I just want to shout you out one time. I see what you're doing. And also, I think when it comes to our city, I have to say that it can be very tough with navigating different places. The best thing is to build relationships with those people in the office, especially over at Fayette Street. And that's where the housing department is. But I think that's the best way. Like, you gotta know somebody in there in order a lot of times to get over the team. That's why relationships is so. This city is built on relationships, and so that's kind of how I was able to navigate it. But that's also an investment too, right? So sometimes your investment is time, getting those.
Investment time is definitely an investment in time is precious commodity.
I would have to agree. So Black is a new initiative for me. So it's definitely about building relationships and building partnerships. I built those over 17 years with my other businesses. And so we are working really hard to build our board right now with people that have that level of expertise. So I'm going to talk to you after this.
Yeah, and I need you to get a contract with my daughter.
But we are trying to build our board with people that have that level of expertise, that have already built those relationships, understanding those are important so that we can get where we need to be and bring the right people in so we can achieve what we need to achieve. It has to happen. Now is the time, I think, more than ever. But it's a matter of exactly what you said, building those relationships with the right people. Because it is about who you know. It always has been about who you know and how you take advantage of those relationships.
Can y'all say that again? I drilled that in. I drilled that into my children. I'm sure you have when it comes to, especially when you're talking about being an entrepreneur. All of them have, embarked upon areas and careers in their life where you really don't have to build relationships. And it's really going to be about who you know. And as entrepreneurs, we know that. And so I know that sometimes my thing is I can just go sit and, do what I need to do and work in my silo, coming from the accounting world and, having a full-fledged before, it was just accounting business. I've transitioned into these other areas. But my clients came to me, you provide something that's needed. And so even being an entrepreneur now for over 20 years, I am just getting to a stage where my grind has to look different because I got to hunt a little bit. It came to me, for all of those years. And so now out here, like you said, giving back, being in the community, doing these different things is definitely more, you're doing more time, you're investing more time. And, the hunt.
That's definitely my story. I know for many years I was in my silo doing my own thing. I didn't try to connect with anybody. Real talk, I didn't. And I was in a building at one point that the building was changing into a school. And I had no choice but to get my little butt out my little corner and go out there and meet people. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because I actually did it for one. I had to get over my initial fears. I'm a stutterer. So if you haven't heard me stutter, which is like, okay.
Yeah.
But so part of it was me just being afraid to speak and figuring out how to speak in front of people. But every single thing that I've accomplished since then is because someone helped me along the way. Because I met the right person at the right time. I called back to this person. I had kids, literally children, that have gotten major contracts because of how I interacted with that child. That told their mother, hey, I want to go there. So you just never know who you'll meet along the way in your process. You never know who can help you up or help you over or whatever. So it's definitely about building relationships throughout the entire process. No matter where you are, someone can take you to the next level. And someone can also bring you back down. So you better make sure that you continue to cultivate positive relationships.
So I agree with that, but I feel that, let's just be honest, when we look at Upper Park Heights, they're not necessarily, and when I say they, I mean the business owners, the homeowners, the people who understood the tax implication of selling your home for $1 to your children, right? There's a system in place, and it has not been built on the relationships that they've cultivated with City Hall or with politicians. I mean, just to be honest, I think Yitzi was one of the first truly active Jewish politicians who said, I'm here to represent my people. And then he got beat up for it. And we hate, now I'm not me personally, I don't hate him, but you'll hear people hate on him because, oh, he's only worried about his people. But as a Black woman, if I say I'm here for my people, I'm applauded. And so I think that we got to take a step back when we're talking about asset building. It should not be based on relationship. And that's why we see all this hand over fist maneuvering, right? Where only certain people know what properties are on the market, only certain people have access to planning, conversations, and things like that. It really should be as black and white as the lettering on the deed. You understand who is able to access capital and access these properties. Like, I'm just talking about the houses. I'm stuck there because I have a friend that I know, and Kiana was with me when I ran into my friend who had bags around his shoes and socks. Remember that, Kiana?
Mm-hmm.
Bags around his shoes and socks. He is missing teeth. He wears the same clothes every single day. Kiana thought I was going to embrace a homeless person.
Like, we were looking up at some Mexican road, because I used to be able to live up that way. I was like, do you know this man? Because I was like, sir, can you back away from us? I didn't know what was happening. She's like, yeah, it's my friend. I said, here we go. Girl, who is that? You just making friends with everybody.
So he's a good friend of mine who is a multimillionaire who has several children and now 20 plus grandchildren. And each of his children inherited a house that was at $199,000 or less for $1 because he understood the taxable implications of gifting those homes to his children at $1. And so then what he taught his children how to do was purchase homes all up and down, Pimlico, Slade Avenue, Old Court, all of that. And while these little children were growing up, by the time they turned 18 or 21, they then got their own $1 home. That's not based on a relationship. That's based on strategy. That's based on tactic. That's based on learning the system and making it work for your family and for your generations. And so, I know that you guys are doing a great work. So not to discredit at all what you're saying, but I hear entrepreneurs, all of us are entrepreneurs trying to tap into the good works and level up our communities. But we got to be like as stringent as some of our counterparts when it comes down to, I don't care if you like me or not. I have my documents in place. I know this property is available. I got my cashier's check. Run me my deed. And it has to be that consistent because if not, because if it's not that consistent, we're going to continue to hope that we pick up the phone and call down to Fayette Street or call down to the right person. And when that person dies and or retires, we lose our plug-in. And I think that is what has happened. I know for me, there's certain people in DPW, I'd be like, Lord Jesus, please, baby Jesus, sweet baby Jesus, don't let these people die or retire, because I can make a phone call and get a whole community cleaned up. That may not be the process, but that is the relationship. And while I have the relationship with these people, the process is broken. The process should be working for the entire community and not just because Tori has the relationship with the individual.
Yeah, I agree with you fully. I think we need to work a little bit better with building a better system and and really helping with, especially even when we talk about housing and stuff, helping with certain stuff going through. But right now, I agree. It does need to change, but it is mainly relationships that's doing it. And I think, you know what it is too? Sometimes when you get these like people who work, and I used to intern for like the state office, right? So it's a difference between an entrepreneur who's a developer and a person who's an employee that works in those offices, right? Like you gonna have the employee, they just taking their time and stuff, right? And you've been needing that paperwork done tomorrow, everything's done and signed. With an entrepreneur, you know what I'm saying, we always in the go. And so I think a lot of times we get people that's just like comfortable with where they are, comfortable with their position and comfortable with their power. And so you see a lot of young people now who may be working at these places and they're going through the same thing you talking about because somebody at the top is not passing the torch on down to them, you know? And so we really got to talk about also, you know, passing the torch along to the young people. We ready for it.
I agree to an extent with what you said, Tori, but I also have a little bit of rebuttal to it as well. I think that we do need to change the system as a whole. We do need to make sure that the playing field is even, but realistically, it's not. Right. And we would be lying to ourselves if we said that it was. You mentioned a council person that speaks, or definitely is someone who supports his community, but we need to have that same level of admiration for people that represent other communities of color, our communities that need to have that level of representation. So yes, we need to change the systems. I definitely agree. It needs to be an even playing field. But a lot has to be said about relationship cultivation. A lot has to be said about networking. These are things that we need to teach our young people so they can begin to build those relationships, so they can be in those positions to change the system as a whole. I think there are lots of people that have worked really hard for a long time to invest within those individual communities and have worked hard to get to those spaces. And sometimes people who have not put that same level of investment have a lot to say from the outside, but aren't in doing the work every single day. And we can't discount the work that's being done by people who may not have had access to a great system, but have decided, despite that, I'm going to continue to do the work. There's a lot to be said from the benefits of that. Yes, change the system, but don't take away the relationships and uplift those within the community that are already doing the work and those that are already in office that are doing the work and those that are not holding accountable.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Came up 3 times so far. Definitely accountability needs to be had. And I think I was hearing Lamondre really say, the system has been broken, the processes are broken. I think some of it is bringing it together. It is right now building relationships to fix the system. Correct. You know, we need to build the relationships to fix the process. And so people, what happens is sometimes having that relationship, use the relationship for good. Actually use that relationship to better the process and to better the system, not just harness that relationship for yourself, but use it to actually effectuate change within the system. So, Tori?
I agree with both perspectives. I think that, you know, all of it is hypothetical until we actually can put something in place and we can measure change. I know I'm a big person on like the measurement. How do we measure? How do we measure? And I mean, as far as being free or being equal or having equity, like all of those are different categories. We've only even been in the conversation for 50 years. You know, period. So yeah, I totally agree with every perspective, because every perspective shared has been needed when it's going to take all of us to move this thing forward.
That's true. What is, as current people on guys, and I want to, if you can, go a little bit deeper into what Keola does, and then what are both some areas that you feel like in Baltimore are prime areas for us to really start kind of giving back and investing back in those communities.
Okay, so it's 2 parts. Okay, so Keola, what we do is we go into our Baltimore community we do this thing called asset mapping, right? And asset mapping is pretty much where you look at different parts of the community and see which assets are placed. An asset could be a hospital, it could be a church, it could be different things, right? And you try to figure out what the anchor is, right? And you figure out what's needed, right? And so what we pretty much do, a bunch of Black brothers, we go into the community, we figure out a house within the community that we think is an opportunity for that will get fixed up or help lead to other rejuvenation within the community. And we just do our thing. And one of the main things we try to do, we try to hit it at a price point that's fair towards the community, because we really want community members to be able to afford these home buying options, right? We really want to see those who are generationally where tenants become homeowners, right? And the beauty of it all is we really believe in giving back to the community. So every week, one of our brothers, Leon Cornell, over at Minute Family Center, we make sure we help him with feeding the community, help him with feeding the homeless, or giving out food to the seniors. And we may even do something as simple as cutting the different neighbors' grass. So all those different aspects is really what helps us really get to the point of community upliftment. Because all we're doing is, and that's with anything, we feel it, we seeing a need needs to be met and filling that needs. That's it.
And then again, so we assessing needs and then going into the community and making sure we take care of them.
My investment in the community has been, for 17 years, has been childcare and early childhood development and after school program. And I believe that we build our youth, we build our future as a whole. And so finding ways to help them understand their greatness. And that's like the biggest thing that we do every single day. Making sure that other people know how great they are, know what their potential is, and to see success in people that look like them around us consistently. When they see success, when they see what they can do, not just on television, where you think, well, maybe that's somebody else can do that. Somebody that can touch and feel every single day. It's important for us to bring that to them. So I was investing in, and my personal passion has been, I'm investing in young people for all of the years that I've been working, even before I opened up Smart Steps, finding ways to, then that also means the whole family. So when you start with the children, you provide them services, the parents want to come in at some point and we engage in them and having them understand that they are an integral part of this whole process. Many times we have after school programs in school, and we have a big focus on family engagement. And the purpose of that, because sometimes these parents have not felt comfortable in the educational setting, or didn't feel welcome in school when they were younger, or they didn't feel welcome when their other kids were younger. So we find ways to make them feel connected to the school so they can be a part of the educational process for their kids. So we look at empowering people, then we continue to add to the family and everything else that they need. So our investment, as I said, started with education initially, and then we looked at nutrition and making sure we bring in meals that were healthy and teaching young people how they can spend their money to buy food in a way that is healthy for them and that stretches the dollar a long way. And then from that, realizing mental health is a major issue in our community. Too often we pray in a way, but don't understand that faith without works is dead. And we have to do more than just pray, but also in addition to that, go see your parents when I pray, but I also get paid. So doing these things as well. And so the next level now is in our community as well. Finding ways to now invest in purchasing properties in communities intentionally. So all of those things are ways that we can invest and continue to invest. Not in the community. For some reason, Park Heights has been my baby. So when you say Park Heights, I always love Park Heights. I'm talking about property in Park Heights first. I don't live in Park Heights, but I feel like I've been there literally this entire time, not been able to grow with the community itself. And it has done so much for me and my family. I have to give back to Park Heights. No matter what we do, no matter where we go, we have to invest as much as we can back in the Park Heights. The potential is awesome, but I don't want that to be taken by people that come outside of the community and then come in and take that investment away, to take those dollars away. You have to find a way to keep the rest of the people that are there to give them something different while they are there.
It's interesting, like you said, because that community is helping grow. you have a desire. It's almost like you gotta do. And so that mindset needs to be a shift. And we have, you know, even though it seems it's a Black Baltimore, not our leadership, we may be Black, but it's really not our city. And so when more people get the attitude that I have to do, I can't rest knowing like where I grew up is falling apart, or you know, riding through some of your old neighborhoods, or knowing that you know the grandmas or the people in that community, we grew up in a community that invested in you. How do you not give back to a community that invested in you? And so we have a lot of, to me, I see a lot of leadership who are not doing that. Like you have the power to actually help your community, and you're not doing it. And so now we have to take it in our own hands. Now we have to not wait for those people to show up for us. So what are some of the resources and things that you guys know of that you want to share that can help people, propel? We talked about some of the ways they can start saving and fixing your credit and things like that. But where is the money? Really? Where's the money?
All right, where's the money? All right.
I'm taking notes.
So, can I talk with one piece?
Okay, sure. This is the school teacher thing.
So some stuff is approaching big deadlines. I want to make sure I hit everything. So because we are in tough times right now, it's been a lot of opportunity for business owners. One main opportunity I want to talk about right now is EIDL loan, economic injury disaster loan, EIDL loan.
Take that in.
EIDL loan. So this is a government-backed loan with the SBA. It's $1,000 grant. You don't have to pay it back. You don't say loan. This is towards anybody who's has a business, maybe you were a gig worker, so you did Lyft or you did Uber, right, or something like that. It's $1,000, free, no question asked. It could go straight to your bank account. Just put your bank account information in there into the government website. Next loan opportunity right now is the PPP loan, Payroll Protection Plan loan. So this one is kind of tricky. I want you to get it done again. So with this loan right here, PPP loan, y'all. So with this loan right here, we're really trying to back you for 2.5 months that you record payroll, right? So say you paid yourself $2,000 a month, right? So multiply that times 2.5, that's 5K. They are willing to directly deposit into your bank account so you can make sure you can have a payroll. The best way, you gotta use at least 60% of the funds. It was 75, now it's 60% of the funds towards payroll, and then it becomes no longer a loan, but a forgivable loan / grant. Then it's the SBA loan. So SBA loan, I've been seeing people get between 20, 25,000, even 5, 15,000. The application process, sometimes people get denied because of their credit score. Once you kind of go over 25,000, they want you to put down some collateral or something like that. But it's money out there, and they still got so much money left over. Where I'm telling Black people, apply for the SBA loan, because these loans, I believe, I've been seeing like what 1% interest rates, 30 years, you get to pay it off. So the loan terms are just crazy. I look at it as Black reparations, so I'm like, Black people jump on it. And so I know I just took up some time.
That's why we're here. We want to give people reason, resources, things they can use, and especially right now, we are trying to build our business. We want to build Black Baltimore, and so we need that information.
Yeah, and they can easily use these different financial tools to go ahead and use as a down payment, go buy a property, and things like that.
I know for PPP, for example, so I applied for all loans. I can't tell you the ones I got to get. But I know for PPP specifically, I applied literally 10 times. And I did it over and over and over again. And I was amazed that the banks that I bank with every day did not fund me. I got funded through Square. So I tell people, don't just apply through your regular bank to apply for these loans. Go through other smaller lenders because right now they need to spend money with minorities. Too many big businesses that everybody heard about got millions and millions of dollars in PPP and didn't need it, didn't deserve it, and shouldn't have gotten in the first place. But as a result of that, lots of money went back. And so they were able to have additional funds, and then with them having the CARES Act too and adding more money to it. But we should definitely take advantage of those opportunities and do all that we can do to make sure it's available. So like I said, it's 2.5 months of payroll. We did extend it to give us more time to pay staff person and rebuild our payroll. But it's about being smart about how we do it, and it's also being prepared for it. So when I got on outside initially, it's getting those documents together. So I was telling everybody, get a little photo with your computer, put your tax return, put your 1099, put your 1096, put your 941, put all of those things have them ready to go. So you can apply for these loans. Everybody's asking for the same information. So you have all those things already together and you're saving that in the file. You can apply really easily. You can do 15 applications tonight because the deadline
is tonight. So put something in, do your best estimate, and just like she was saying, create an Excel sheet or whatever, print out your bank stubs, put red with your business expenses, green with your business income, add that all up, you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta jump on these opportunities today, tonight, right now, because now is the time for my people. You gotta get it.
PPP loan, go through your bank or go through any lender. Literally, almost every lender will have something on their page saying PPP loan. SBA and PIDL loans, you can find those on the SBA website. So make sure you get on those right now. As soon as this is over, not yet. This is over. So make sure you get those things in tonight.
Thank you guys for that information. And so I'm just excited. I'm excited about, where we are going individually, but I'm loving the, atmosphere of building and supporting and, all of that. And so, here we talk about, as everybody talks, there's connections, right? And so there are relationships that can be built here. I'm somebody that's really big on strategic partnerships. And so when we talk about, getting together and building, that is somewhere where, building strategic partnerships, put an MOU in place, that's a memorandum of understanding. And, and so that everybody is benefiting. And as we move forward, just understand being in any type of relationship, making sure that it's mutually beneficial. And we want to make sure that we're giving back and our community is benefiting. Okay, so Tori.
Yeah, I just want to say that, this has been an awesome conversation. Just a couple of little points. There are 38 Black-owned banks across our country. And I think that out of that 38, there's maybe one, maybe two. Harbor Bank for sure. I know there's the Omega Psi-Phi has a bank. They actually may have one in Maryland. I know for sure they have one down south. So somebody can fact check that. Well, the Omega Psi-Phi is no different than when Tuskegee and some of these other affluent Black organizations or Black groups started banks. But Harbor Bank for sure is a Black-owned bank. And to what Glennis was saying, I'm sorry, you're not doing this to you all the time, cuz Glenise, we family. I can mess her name up. Y'all can. To the point of diversify who you bank with. I think if COVID and all of this crisis hasn't taught us anything, it's about diversifying. Like most people, 2 years ago, heard Kiana and I doing a lot of financial coaching. We were talking about investing money, how to put your money somewhere that was going to yield closer to 10 or 12% interest. You have not heard us at all talking about stocks or the stock market or investments, because we understand that just at the foundation of money, people needed to understand how not to take their stimulus check and buy crabs. Like we understood that our conversation needed to shift away from investing when we're in a pandemic and we're in a global crisis. This was not the time to talk about, you understand, like investing at that point. It was about diversifying your money and putting your money in places that could work for you. Or if the mainstream banks went offline, having access to your money. We've been telling people pull out cash. Like the conversations have changed. I also want to just kind of throw out there, based on some of what you guys shared, a book that I just purchased from Amazon, and you can get it for like $18 or $20. It's by Boosie. Let me see if I can look up her name. It's Boosie Saleshow, right? So, and I'll spell it for you guys. But the whole title of the book is Money and Black People, Why Black People Don't Have Any Money, and How to Heal Your Money Story. Like, that's the whole title of the book. Money and Black People, Why Black People Don't Have Any Money, and How to Heal Your Money Story. And her first name is Busi. Last name is Selesho. And I'll make sure that you guys get it. Check the book out. It's not a big book. It's 140 some pages. I was waiting on a friend a few months back when we were able to, fraternize. I was in a library downtown. I pulled the book off the shelf. I got maybe 50 pages in, and then my friend showed up for the meeting. And I said to myself, I was going to finish this book because it is a perception about money, the perception of how we are and the trauma that we have about money. And she talks about like which Black nations have suffered for centuries and how we heal our negative relationship with money. Kiana has said this to me for years, like most of how we spend and why we spend or how we invest or our failure to invest comes from our negative relationship with money. And so guys, check the book out. It's not a very big book. She is an internationally accredited money coach. This young lady has gone across the world teaching people how to have better relationships, but also not just with people, but with money and how to get out of the cycles of debt. And so I'm just encouraged by everything that you guys shared. I've been writing my little notes. I know my back is broken, but my brain is not. And so I'm listening to everything, taking it all in. And again, it may not manifest tomorrow, but I think it's these conversations that set us on fire so that we can have generational change. So thank you again for being on the show. Thank you to my amazing host and big cousin, Kiana Jones. Girl, you did that, girl. You did that. And snap, snap, snap. And I just appreciate you guys. And hopefully we can have you both on and really just do some individualized conversations where we can go in depth. And somebody, I ain't gonna point no names, wanted to pull out a whiteboard and a chart. I ain't gonna say no names. So if you need a whiteboard for the next time, we can bring out a whiteboard and do some doodling.
That would be nice.
You know who I'm talking to.
I like that idea.
Break down the mat.
Right. We don't need that. We don't need that. Hold on for next time. That way he can do it on the whiteboard. Break it down. We definitely need that. So as we wrap up, you guys, who wants to go with ladies first? Tell us how can we connect with you, support you, and align with you. Where do we find you?
The biggest thing I want to tell everybody right now is that Smart Steps is offering free, FREE. So save that money that you would have spent and put it in the account so you can get ready to invest. Free virtual summer camp for our young people. So children ages 2 through 13 can participate in camp starting on this Monday, July 6th. They have 30 days of awesomeness. We have STEM and art, music, martial arts, sign language, storytelling by Janice Negrio. Just a boatload of information that our kids can take advantage of. This virtual camp is pre-recorded, so if you get tired, you can stop. If you had to rewind it, you can rewind it. And it's free. So you can find it at www.smartstepscc, like Smart Steps Childcare.org. Again, that's www.smartstepscc.org. And it is free.
Okay, and you guys can find the flyer information posted on all of our social media, the Connected Corner, we have Connected Group. Make sure you register and get started with that. And over to Mariah.
Yeah, so I'm Lamontre Randall, Lamontre, last name Randall, Randall. That's on all platforms, just straight Lamontre Randall. Kioba, Kioba, Venture, Ventures. Same thing, you can find on Facebook, find us on Instagram. We're looking for people who want to be first-time home buyers. Please hit us up. Also, if you are interested and possibly need a construction job, I'm helping with this one company with getting some construction people involved. So please hit me up at 443-497-0894. My name is Lamontre. Once again, 443-497-0894. 0894. And I love that you ended us off with books. I'm not a reader all the time, but I am very good with podcasts and YouTube. And so the people I recommend this podcast is it's called Sweet Talk with Todd Millionaire. YouTube, it's this dude called Meet Kevin. He talks about all the stimulus stuff that's happening, really breaks it down real easy. He also talks about real estate. I highly suggest everybody look at Dr. Claude Anderson, also one of the GOATs. And another one of my favorite podcasts and things to listen to is Earn Your Leisure. They are doing great stuff, and they talk about the market every Monday.
Awesome. Thank you for that great information. As always, we want to give the people news and resources they can use at the Connected Corner. And you've got a wealth of knowledge today on how to get money, how to act some things to help you with your credit, books to read. I said books to watch. Books to read, podcasts and information to get you, and as we say, work to level up, right? Remember to get those relationships, the work to level up, and that's what we want everybody to do. So if you like today's show, if you like today's show, you want to meet us back here every Tuesday, 8 p.m. We're going live at the Connected Corner. If you want to get connected with us, okay, hashtag get connected with the Connected Corner, email us at bcg.manage, that's bcg.manage@gmail.com. Send us an email if you're interested in being on the show. Hit us up across social media, the Connected Corner, or Beehive Connected Group. We are interested in getting connected with you, having you come on, join our conversations. Again, you can email us, and I'm Kiana B. Jones. It's Kiana B. Jones on all social media platforms. And over to my co-host, Tori Rose the Connector. Tell us where to find you.
Yes. I was laughing because you was like, hit us up. That's Baltimore. Only in Baltimore can women say this, and it mean love. I love it. I'm here for it. And so I'm Tori Rose, the Connector, coming live from the bedside. Please check me out at Tori.
Not the bedside, but bedside, right?
Bedside, exactly. Bedside manner, bed rest manner. And Kiki, don't ever share the video of how I tore my back out. Anywho, I digress. I'm Tori Rose. You can find me at Tori Rose the Connector on Facebook, on Instagram. You can follow us at the Connected Corner or Tori Talks Community Connections. And anything Tori Rose that's positive is me. Anything that's not positive is somebody else. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate y'all.
Good night. Peace. Thanks for joining us.